Welcome to the CYF course, and it's our second part on conflict resolution. In the first part, we looked at the different phases in the team and what Matthew 5 is teaching us. In a nutshell, we discovered that tensions are not the problem. It's how we deal with them that will lead us or not in a conflict. Today, we will point out some principles that will help us deal with a conflict. And we will be very practical. Of course, these principles are applicable before the tension provokes a conflict too. However, they are good to keep in mind and applied when we are caught in a conflict. Over the years, I have had the opportunity to help in various situations of conflicts or tension, and to be personally involved in some of them too. When I'm facing this situation, I like to read again these principles. It helps me to stand back from the situation, and it reminds me what is helpful or not. And it helps me to position myself correctly. So, now would you please take 2 minutes and think of any personal team situation you are challenged or have been challenged with, in which you are facing some tensions, even conflicts, and please press the pause button and write it down, including how you are dealing with it, what you are applying and what is working and what is not working, and if you have any question. If you can't think of any situation, feel free to choose one of those that are appearing on your screen right now and take time to write down how you would deal with it. Now, keep in mind the situation you worked on. We will come to it at the end of our time. And you will get, of course, some minutes to add what you discovered or could have done differently or improved. And please share with us too if you applied something that has not been mentioned. I will be glad to add it. I'm fully aware not to have the big picture, of course. So let's start. First, taking time with our Father. It's so easy when we are in a situation of conflict for our thoughts to be completely absorbed by our own thoughts about these conflicts, and we become very, very self-centered. Focusing on God will help us change our focus from us to Him and gain a healthier perspective. What do you think, God, of this situation? How do you feel? What are your advices? What is my part into that? These kinds of questions can be very helpful. If emotions are high, too high, stop and find a way to calm down. It's often my case. You know, I'm very connected with my emotion, and sometimes when I feel a tension, I'm like, ah, and I need to express it to someone. And at that point, I don't need any advice. I need someone just that will receive what I have to share. And usually, it's Guy that is often the one receiving all of that. And you know, in the first years of our marriage, it was difficult for him because he would tell me, you cannot think that, you cannot act like that, you cannot do that, you know. And of course, he was true. But for me, I would never say what I say to the person, of course. But it's just my emotion that needs to be unloaded. And of course, I will do something with that. I'm not leaving it like this. But it allows me, you know, for my emotions to go down. I also go to the Lord, of course. But I realize that I am in a journey in that too, and that I still need close friends that can receive that, where I can unpack my heart. For some other people, to calm down, they like to run, to hit a punching ball, or to shout alone in the forest, to do something to unload and calm down our emotion. And it's important, because we can't think properly and process properly when our emotions are too high. Don't start a movie in your head. Does it concern especially women? Perhaps. But it's really a trap, as we might be completely wrong and off track, guessing and judging the intention of the heart of someone else. We need to be very, very careful. And now every time I have the tendency to start a movie, I say, hey, stop. I don't want to enter into that. And it's possible. Never use never, always, anyway, and, you know, accusing you. These are killers. Anyway, you are always doing that. Never once you have been able to do it correctly. With this kind of sentences, you are going nowhere. You are hitting the wall. And it's really not helpful. So remind that. Never use never, always, anyway, and you, accusing you. Be proactive instead of reactive. You always have the choice of your answer. We often are not aware of that because it happens so fast and it's in a few seconds. However, during these few seconds, in between what someone is telling you and what you will answer, you have the choice. In theory, it's obvious and it's easy. To practice it, it's a challenge. And my children love to remind me that when I'm not applying it. In absolute terms, it means that whoever could tell me whatever, and I should be able to choose my answer. I have to admit sometimes that my emotions are faster than my ability to be responsible and mature in my answer. I learned it especially when we lived in a flat above our landlord. She was not stable emotionally, and she would come regularly knocking on our door, shouting at us that we were doing too much noise. And, you know, my first reaction was to feel threatened, so I reacted exactly in the same way. And I become, you know, to shout, no, that's not true, why are you? And then when I realize that I should be here proactive instead of reactive, I worked on a sentence to tell her, and I tell her, you know what, I'm really ready to listen to you, but not in these conditions. I will not let you treat me like that. You know what happened? She was so surprised. She never came back. And I also remember an occasion of dealing with that within our family when our children, years ago, they came to me, one of them came to me saying, you know what? I really want to be able to sleep, to fall asleep later. I don't want my bedtime to be so early. That's not fair. In my friend's home, they can go and sleep at that hour. I don't understand why, and all like that. And I remember telling her at that moment, when you are speaking like this to me, in my mind, I already want to say no to you. So, if you have a question, if you want to speak about something, I'm more than willing to listen to you, but not in these conditions. And then, a few hours later, she came back and she told me, Mom, can we speak regarding my bedtime? I said, of course. And in my head, I had time to think, so I was ready to extend it because it was a good point. And I told her, so how long would you like you to be able to play before going to bed? And she said, 15 minutes. I said, that's fine. And it was so all peaceful. In my mind, I was ready to give her 30 minutes more. She asked for 15, so it was a good deal. First, seek to understand before being understood. It's active listening. I will not belong on that one because we have a video dedicated to that topic. So it's a real key to build a bridge in the relationship. And it takes some efforts to shift my focus from myself to the other. And it's leading us up to look for a heart-to-heart connection. And please, don't stop before. It's true, it may take time. Sometimes 1 hour is not sufficient. It takes some days, weeks, months, but it's really worth it. Always remember, in that case, God, our Father, to win our heart. He has been ready to do everything possible to reach our heart. And He is ready to wait for years till we accept to link our heart with His. And that's why it's so important and it's so precious for Him when we do that. Also to look for a win-win solution. I'm so glad that we learned this principle at the beginning of our life as a married couple. We decided to apply it. 27 years later, I can tell you that it works in every situation we faced. Yes, sometimes it took us time, months, to find solution, a win-win solution. But we always did. I like a lot to speak and to process verbally. And I was doing that without any consideration of my husband in the first years of our married life. I would just, come in and share. And, I could see, and Guy told me, don't interrupt me always, please. And so I decided that I will not speak anymore, just being reactive. But it was not working, obviously. So I learned to ask, and we had here to find a win-win solution. Guy, I have something I would like to share with you. When would it be possible for you? And now I always have a sheet of paper next to me on my phone, and I make a list of things that I would like to share with Guy. And when we meet for eating together or for our prayer walks, or I know that I have at that time an opportunity to share with him, and I'm no more invading him. It's, of course, one example. Sometimes it's wise to ask for external help. Choose someone where everyone is comfortable with and trusting and feels secure. not someone that is or could be perceived as an ally of one of the person involved, and meet in a neutral area. So no one feels disadvantaged from the start, having the added task to adapt to the place on top on all what is happening. Almost every time I'm arriving in a new place, after one day usually, I have people coming to me and sharing their hearts. You know, I have always been touched by the trust of the people, and I consider these times to be very, very precious. I had to learn to make the difference between listening and demonstrating empathy, of course, to the person, and judging. It's so easy when you hear only one side of the story to judge. And then, if you have a chance to listen to the other part, you realize that in most cases, you understand the other part of the story too. Or I realized I had to watch out and to not be quick to judge and to take sides. If you still want to judge, be sure you know both sides and that your heart motivations are okay. Personally, I stopped going that way. And I don't want to be trapped in a situation that is, to my point of view, non-biblical. In Matthew 18, verse 15 and 17, it says, "Go between the two of you. If they listen to you, you have won them over. But if they will not listen, take one or two other along. If they still refuse to listen, tell it to the church." I'm aware that here Jesus is telling that in the context of someone caught in sin. But I believe it applies too in a situation of conflicts. You know as well as me how it happens too often. We share something with someone and suddenly all the church knows about that. But nobody speaks about it because we should not know, and we criticize and we judge. We are the only army in the world to kill our own soldiers, and our enemy is enjoying it a lot. I really would like to see that stop. So it means that if someone's come to me and shares with me a situation of tension, I tell him right away that I'm ready to listen, of course, and to pray. But if he does not commit after that to go and share it with the person or to do something out of it, I'm not ready to listen. I understand fully the need of processing and praying with someone. I need it too. But then it cannot stop there. A further step needs to be taken. And I will keep that person accountable to that. I would like to finish with two words that summarize it all. In every tension, every conflict, let's choose and make all our possible to keep our heart walking with humility and vulnerability. I would like to finish with a testimony, and it happened a few weeks ago. We had quite of a big argument in our family around the lunchtime, and you know, it was kind of it exploded, poof, and everyone, you know, some of us were crying, other one were shouting, other one just fled away, and we're like, whoa. But what really touched me, and is even touching me today still, is that 45 minutes later, every one of us, we were sitting in our dining hall, and we all chose humility and vulnerability. and we opened our heart and we shared. And it was so powerful. It was so deep, it was so intense, it was painful. We were all crying. But it was so precious. And the Holy Spirit has been moving in our midst so powerfully that we still see the benefit of it today. And it changed something. I'm so amazed and so thankful that each one of our family team chose to be vulnerable and humble. And I see when we chose that, the grace of the Lord just flowing in our midst. And it was such a beautiful and precious time. As usual, we are finishing with some questions, and I hope this session has been helpful for you.